Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the ultimate appliance aisle showdown, using just the facts and the pure engineering from our source material. We are completely cutting through the marketing noise to give you a clear, structured breakdown of front-load versus top-load washing machines. Let's get into it.
You know, if you've ever found yourself completely overwhelmed, staring at two rows of nearly identical-looking metal boxes with wildly different price tags, well, you are definitely not alone. I mean, they both do the exact same basic job, right? Getting your clothes clean. And they've both been refined over decades. But as we'll see, the differences under the hood are literally game changers. They directly impact your utility bills, your floor plan, and, yup, even your physical comfort. So here is our roadmap for today. First, how they actually work. Second, cleaning, water, and energy. Third, speed and the mold issue. Fourth, space and ergonomics. Fifth, the agitator-free HE option. And finally, number 6, which one should you buy?
All right, section 1, how they actually work. The physics of laundry.
To really understand the performance gaps between these machines, we've got to start with their mechanical baseline. Think of a front-load machine. It uses a horizontal drum. Your clothes are picked up by paddles and then dropped repeatedly using gravity. It's actually very much like how your dryer works. Now, traditional top loaders, they use a vertical drum with a central post, an agitator that vigorously twists back and forth. They completely submerge your clothes in water to physically rub them against each other and that center post. This core mechanical difference, tumbling versus agitating, is the root cause of absolutely everything that follows.
Section 2, cleaning, water, and energy. The efficiency cascade. Let's see how that single mechanical difference cascades into how well the machine cleans, and just as importantly, what it costs you to run. For decades, people just assumed the aggressive twisting of a top loader meant cleaner clothes. But today, well, the tumbling action of front loaders actually removes everyday dirt and food stains way more effectively, partly because they can heat water to much higher temperatures. That being said, traditional top loaders with agitators absolutely still hold a niche. They are fantastic for heavily soiled, muddy work clothes, where you literally need that aggressive physical scrubbing, even though, yeah, it can be a bit harsher on delicate fabrics.
Now let's talk water usage. Because a front loader is horizontal, gravity is doing the heavy lifting. The machine only needs a very shallow pool of water sitting at the bottom. A traditional top loader, on the other hand, needs a full drum of water just so the clothes can float and move freely around that agitator. And to put that into perspective, because of that submersion requirement, traditional top-load agitator machines waste 2 to 3 times more water per single load. 2 to 3 times. If you live somewhere with high water costs, drought restrictions, or maybe you're on a septic system, this is a massive, massive point in favor of a front-load design.
But the efficiency cascade doesn't stop at water. It extends right into energy. Front loaders not only use less hot water, but their horizontal drums spin incredibly fast. We're talking up to 1600 RPM, compared to a top loader's 800 RPM. This high-speed spin extracts so much more water from your clothes before they ever even hit the dryer. And less water in the clothes means a significantly shorter and cheaper drying cycle.
So how does this actually hit your wallet? Well, top loaders have a lower upfront price tag, and they're mechanically simpler, which makes them way cheaper to repair. Front loaders, they're pricier to buy, and definitely pack more electronic components. But, and this is a big but, over a typical 10 to 14-year lifespan, the massive water and energy savings of a front loader often completely offset that initial sticker shock. It's basically a classic battle of short-term budget versus long-term investment.
Section 3, speed and the mold issue, the front load flaws.
Okay, so it's not all sunshine and rainbows for front loaders. If you value your time, you really need to know this. Front load cycles are long. I'm talking sometimes over 2 hours on eco settings, because they rely on extended tumbling and less water to get things clean. Top loaders, using more water and that aggressive agitation, can often finish a standard load in just 30 to 45 minutes. For a large family running multiple loads back-to-back every single day, this speed difference is a huge practical advantage for top loaders.
And then there's the mold, the elephant in the laundry room. Front loaders seal tightly with a thick rubber door gasket during operation, which traps moisture inside after the cycle ends. Plus, low water cycles can leave detergent residue behind, creating literally the perfect environment for mildew. To mitigate this, you have to adopt a strict 3-step routine. Leave the door open after every single wash, wipe the gasket dry, and run a dedicated cleaning cycle monthly. Top loaders, thanks to their unsealed, open-top design, naturally circulate air and honestly rarely face this issue.
Moving on to Section 4, Space and Ergonomics, Fitting Your Lifestyle. Moving beyond just the mechanics, how these large metal boxes physically fit into your space matters just as much as how they wash a shirt. Ergonomically, top loaders are so much easier on your back and knees because you load and unload them from a standing position. Front loaders require you to bend down repeatedly. Now, sure, you can buy pedestal stands to raise them up to a comfortable height, but those are sold separately and just add to your total cost. On the flip side, though, front loaders don't have an agitator to stretch or tangle your clothes, making them vastly superior for fabric longevity.
But here is where front loaders really pull ahead for many urban dwellers. They are almost universally stackable. If you're living in a condo or an apartment with a super tight laundry closet, a stacked front load setup can fit perfectly into a 27 to 30-inch width. Top loaders require the lid to open upward, meaning they demand a side-by-side floor plan. If you're lacking space, a stackable front loader is often your only realistic option.
Section 5. The agitator-free HE option, the third way.
What if you're totally paralyzed by this choice and just want the best of both worlds? Well, enter the high efficiency, or HE, top loader. This machine removes that massive central agitator post. Instead, it uses a low-profile wheel or disc at the bottom of the drum to create a rolling or swirling motion. It uses significantly less water than a traditional top loader, acting as a really brilliant middle ground that blends front load efficiency with top load design.
The benefits here are pretty clear. Without the agitator, you get this massive interior capacity that is absolutely perfect for big comforters. And because the top opens upward, you avoid the severe mold risks of a front loader. However, the trade-offs are still there. Because it opens from the top, it remains completely unstackable. Plus, these models are often priced much closer to premium front loaders than your entry-level machines.
Section 6. Which one should you buy? The final verdict. All right, we've covered a lot of ground, so let's distill this whole shebang into a final verdict. You are the ideal front-load buyer if your main focus is on long-term efficiency, lower utility bills, and top-tier cleaning performance. If you absolutely need a stackable design because space is tight, or you want the gentlest possible treatment for your clothes, this is your machine. You just have to be willing to do that light, routine maintenance, leaving the door open and wiping the gasket to keep those odors at bay. Conversely, you are the perfect top-load buyer if you want to keep your initial upfront costs as low as possible, or if bending down is a physical strain. If you run a high volume of laundry and really need those fast 30 to 45-minute cycles, have plenty of floor space for side-by-side setup, and honestly just want a mechanically simpler experience without stressing over leaving the door open to die, this is the way to go. At the end of the day, there's no single universal winner. The right choice is entirely about what you are trying to optimize for in your own household. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. When you look at your laundry routine, what matters most to you right now? Is it saving space, sticking to a strict upfront budget, or maximizing long-term efficiency? Decide that, and you found your machine. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy washing.